Hey everyone, welcome back. Have you ever noticed how we're obsessed with evil? From movies and TV shows to books and podcasts, it seems like everyone loves a good villain. Think about it. Michael Myers, Hannibal Lecter, Ted Bundy, the Joker, Jason Voorhees, Satan. These names send shivers down our spines, but we can't get enough of them. But why? Why are we, as seemingly normal people, so drawn to the dark side? What is it about evil that fascinates us? Is it morbid curiosity, or is there something deeper at play? Could it be because of our childhood? Are we bad people because of this? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. It's an interesting thing to think about. Why do we care so much about the concept of evil? Part of the reason we're so into evil is because it's exciting. It grabs our attention and keeps us on the edge of our seats. Let's face it, good versus evil is a classic story arc for a reason. It's a tale as old as time, and it never gets old. It's full of drama, suspense, and the thrill of the unknown. The tension keeps us hooked, wondering what will happen next. We love to see the good guys triumph, sure, but the journey there is way more interesting when there's a formidable villain trying to stop them at every turn. The stakes are higher, and the victory's sweeter. Plus, let's not forget about the allure of the forbidden is powerful and hard to resist. As humans, we're naturally curious about things we're not supposed to be interested in. It's in our nature to want to explore the unknown. It's like that time in high school when my mom told me not to read a certain book. The more she said no, the more I wanted to know what was inside. Did I listen? Of course not. The temptation was too strong. It was like I was hardwired to want to know all the details of that book. The mystery was irresistible. Evil has that same allure. It draws us in with its mystery and danger. It represents the breaking of rules, the crossing of lines, the things we're told not to do. It's the ultimate rebellion. And that, my friends, is just plain fascinating. It's a part of who we are, and it's why we can't look away. So there's actually some science behind all of this. It's not just a random fascination or a quirk of human nature. Psychologists have been studying our fascination with evil for years, delving deep into the human psyche to understand why we're so drawn to the darker aspects of life. And they've come up with some pretty interesting theories. These theories range from evolutionary biology to social conditioning. One theory is that it's all about survival. Our ancestors needed to be hyper-aware of their surroundings to avoid predators and other dangers. Back in the day, our ancestors had to be able to spot danger and avoid threats to stay alive. This meant recognizing and understanding potential threats quickly and efficiently. Being able to recognize and understand evil was basically a matter of life or death. It was a crucial skill for survival in a world full of unknowns. Fast forward to today, and that instinct is still ingrained in us. We're drawn to stories about evil because they tap into that primal part of our brains that's always on the lookout for danger. These stories activate our survival instincts, even in a modern context. It's like a mental workout, helping us prepare for potential threats in our own lives, even if those threats are more likely to be a bad day than an actual supervillain. This mental exercise keeps our minds sharp and ready for anything. Another theory is that we're fascinated by evil because it helps us understand ourselves better. By confronting the darker aspects of human nature, we can reflect on our own behaviors and motivations. By exploring the dark side of human nature, we can gain a deeper understanding of our own capacity for both good and evil. This self-reflection can be both enlightening and humbling. It's like holding up a mirror to our souls, only the mirror is a little cracked and dusty. This imperfect reflection helps us see the complexities and dualities within ourselves, making us more aware of our own nature. Bad guys on the big screen. Let's talk about movies. Hollywood knows how much we love a good villain, and they've definitely capitalized on it over the years. I mean, think about some of the most iconic movie villains of all time. Darth Vader, with his creepy mask and heavy breathing. Hannibal Lecter, with his chilling intelligence and taste for human flesh. The Joker, with his chaotic energy and twisted sense of humor. These characters are all terrifying in their own way, yet we can't help but be drawn to them. They're complex, they're intriguing, and they make us question everything we thought we knew about right and wrong. Plus, let's be honest, they often have the best lines in the movie. When reality bites back. Now, it's important to remember that evil isn't just something we see in movies and TV shows. It also exists in the real world, and it's not always as glamorous as Hollywood makes it seem. Real-life criminals like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer committed horrific acts that continue to haunt us today. So why are we still so fascinated by these real-life monsters? It's complicated, but part of it might be that we want to understand what could possibly drive a person to commit such atrocities. We want to know what makes them tick, what went wrong in their lives, what led them down such a dark path. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, except the pieces are made of nightmares. Of course, it's essential to remember that these are real people who committed real crimes. Our fascination with them should never come at the expense of the victims or their families. The Stanford Experiment, a cautionary tale. Speaking of real-life evil, let's talk about the Stanford Prison Experiment. This infamous study, conducted back in 1971, showed just how easily ordinary people can become corrupted by power. The researchers created a mock prison in the basement of Stanford University and randomly assigned students to be either guards or prisoners. Within days, the guards began abusing their power, becoming increasingly authoritarian and cruel. The prisoners, meanwhile, became passive and submissive, many of them experiencing emotional breakdowns. The experiment had to be shut down after only 6 days because things got out of control. The Stanford Prison Experiment is a chilling reminder that evil isn't always something we're born with. Sometimes it's something that's thrust upon us, something that can take root and grow in the right or wrong circumstances. It's a sobering thought, to say the least. The line between fascination and obsession. So, we've established that we're all a little bit obsessed with evil. It's a natural human curiosity, after all. We want to understand what makes people tick, especially those who commit heinous acts. But when does that fascination cross the line into something unhealthy? When does it start to affect our mental well-being and our perception of the world around us? It's a tough question, and there's no easy answer. The line between fascination and obsession can be very thin and often blurry. But I think it's essential to be mindful of our consumption of true crime and other forms of entertainment that glorify violence and evil. We need to ask ourselves why we're drawn to these stories and what impact they have on us. It's one thing to be intrigued by the psychology of a serial killer, to want to understand their motives and the factors that led them down such a dark path, but it's another thing entirely to be obsessed with every detail of their crimes. When we start to lose perspective and become consumed by these stories, it can be a sign that we've crossed that line. If you find yourself losing sleep, having nightmares, or feeling anxious or disturbed after watching true crime documentaries or reading about real-life crimes, it might be a good idea to take a step back and focus on something lighter. It's important to recognize when our interests are starting to have a negative impact on our mental health. It might be a good idea to take a step back and focus on something lighter. It's essential to find a balance. We need to make sure that our fascination with evil doesn't overshadow the good in the world. It's okay to be fascinated by evil, to want to understand it and learn from it, but we should never lose sight of the very real harm it can cause in the world. We need to remember that behind every story of evil, there are real victims and real pain, and remind ourselves that there's still plenty of good in the world. It's important to balance the darkness with lighthearted moments, because at the end of the day, it's the love and kindness we show each other that truly makes a difference. And remember, please, if you like this types of videos, like, share and subscribe to the channel.